All right, everyone, we are going to continue with our availabilities here. We are now joined by Christopher Bell, driver of the number 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Christopher, I'll start it off. Just give us your thoughts going into this weekend with the Bristol cutoff elimination race coming up next weekend.
Just an important race for us. We performed well at Darlington and got ourselves in a nice points position. So hopefully we can execute this weekend, capitalize on some more points, and be able to breathe easy going into Bristol.
Okay, if you have a question for Christopher, just raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll start off with Chris Knight.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Are you the sleeper in the playoffs?
I don't really think that that's for me to decide. In my head, I know where I think I rank up. But, just trying to showcase what we're capable of doing on the racetrack.
We'll go to Bob next.
Bob Pockers, Fox Sports. Suarez was upset with you after the race last week. I'm curious if, from your view, what happened there, and were you aware at all that he was upset until he said something?
Just a non-intentional, mistake from me to slide up and kind of crowd him into the wall. But honestly, I didn't think anything of it at the time and had no idea that he was upset until he spoke out. Once I learned that he was upset, I did reach out. I texted him and, told him that, or I apologized for getting into him. And, he let me know that he's going to race me the same way that I race him going forward. So I'll just have to make sure I watch my back whenever he's around me.
Any other questions for Christopher? We'll go to Lee.
We're returning to Bristol, but we were with the new car in the spring, but we were on dirt. How do you feel this new car will react going there on pavement?
I expect Bristol to be a really big momentum racetrack with these cars. So I did get to do the tire test about a year ago from the state. And, what I learned was it's a very big momentum car, not much acceleration, but not much deceleration either. So I expect the top to be fast under those conditions. And I think that, lap traffic is going to play a really big role in the race, just like it always does. But I would expect the top to be very, very dominant at the Bristol race.
And how do you think, I know we haven't been on an intermediate track since May, but how do you think that the cars progressing, especially we have this, we're going here, we're going to Texas, we're going to Homestead. How do you think that the car will react on the intermediate tracks now that you guys have had a chance to work on it?
That's tough for me to say. It seems like these cars have excelled at the mile and a halves. We've seen great races at the beginning of the season whenever we went to these style racetracks. So I would expect that to continue. I think that everybody, like you mentioned, has evolved and gotten their stuff a lot, driving a lot better. So maybe a little bit less yellow flags, a little bit less self-spins over the course of these next couple intermediates. But I would expect the great racing to continue.
And other than the questions that they asked you earlier about Suarez, over at JGR, you seem to be the guy right now with the less drama. And, Kyle's worried about what he's doing. Denny's got his team to worry about. All you have to do is concentrate on the playoffs. How much of a relief is that, and how, I guess, grateful are you not to have any distractions and just come in and race every week?
Yeah, that's exactly how I like it, for sure. It's nice to be able to focus on the task at hand and not have a bunch of distractions floating around. So hopefully we can keep it that way, for sure.
Go to Claire in the back.
Larry Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. We're going qualifying now. Can you talk about qualifying at Kansas? What you think about the qualifying effort here? A little bit hazy, a little chilly. Sun might pop out.
Yeah, that qualifying is. I love qualifying, and I love these conditions, especially mile and a halves. The cooler temperatures means that we're going to be carrying a lot of speed. So it's right up my wheelhouse for sure. So I'm excited about it, and I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that the rain doesn't come.
How much of a difference if the sun does pop out? What do you feel in the car when that happens and you have to kind of alter what you're doing?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is just a lack of grip. Whenever you have lack of grip, the speeds slow down. You just have to be a little bit more patient on the throttle. And you can't just attack as hard as you can whenever it's cloudy and the grip levels are up. So either way, it's the same for all of us, and we all have to adapt. But, yeah, I mean, I love, the faster we go, the better it seems like I go. So I'm excited about this qualifying session.
Good luck in qualifying.
Thank you.
We'll go to Dustin Long up here.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Christopher, does this track does that matter as you look back with everything else you've accomplished?
I mean, it probably just helps me enjoy this place a little bit more, I guess. I've always loved coming to Kansas, but especially after that Xfinity win, it made it one of my favorites. So on top of that, it's one of my home tracks too. So between here and Texas, they're my two home tracks, and have a lot of great memories here at Kansas with that Xfinity win, and would love to add a couple into it.
And in May, the Toyotas were so strong, but I think, if I remember correctly, that you were kind of the back half of that group. Obviously you guys were strong, but weren't strongest of class. What do you feel like you've had to work on since then to potentially leapfrog, in essence, your teammate? Yeah,
that's a great question, and my answer to that is I think performance related from me and the equipment, the car side, it was there, and I was able to win the pole in qualifying, and throughout practice I think we were extremely strong too. And whenever they dropped the green flag, I was able to lead laps at the start of the race. And I think we had a flat tire that brought us back, and then we just weren't able to recover from that. So I think that the performance was there all weekend, and we just were not able to overcome our issues in the race to get back in front of our teammates. But I believe that, if we can bring that same performance, we've made gains on pit road, and hopefully no unfortunate circumstances, and we can be competing.
We'll go to John over here on your left.
John Newby, Heavy.com. Now that you're preparing for, another playoff run instead of just the first one, is there an added sense of calmness knowing that you've seen what to expect?
So I don't really think that my being a second year versus first year really has an effect on my outlook, but just my performance over the regular season this year definitely makes me feel a lot more comfortable in my position than I was a year ago at this time. So last year, I didn't feel like we performed like a team capable of racing for a championship, and this year I feel like we are able to do that. So it makes me a little bit more confident in what we have going on.
Cool, thank you.
Any final questions for Christopher? No? Christopher, best of luck this weekend. Thank you.